He's in shock. Jungkook makes the most important life decision without consulting anyone. Hello Army. A silent step that shook the world. In the world of K-pop, decisions are rarely made quietly. Every comeback is choreographed. Every announcement is backed by months of strategy. Every step, calculated. From album releases to enlistment dates, everything must go through layers of management, legal departments, media teams, and fan coordinators. It's a system. A machine. A spectacle. But what happens when the machine is bypassed? When a decision so personal, so monumental, is made in complete silence. No press release. No teaser. No agency involvement. No official fan notice. Just a choice, made by one man, alone, in the quiet. That man is Jungkook. The Golden Maknae. The youngest of BTS. A global icon. And yet, at this moment, just a human being searching for something deeper than fame. This is not a story about rebellion. It's not a scandal. It's not a secret project leaking before its time. This is about a question that every human must face. Who am I when no one is watching? And Jungkook chose to find the answer. The suspicious silence. In the world of Jungkook, silence is unusual. He's never been the loudest in interviews. But he was always present. A surprise vliv at midnight. A song cover dropped unexpectedly. An Instagram story that simply says I miss you. He is the kind of idol who nurtures the connection with fans not through spectacle, but through sincerity. But then, silence. Not just for a day. Not just a week. But for months. No Instagram posts. No live streams. No solo updates. Nothing from HYBE. No member mentions. It was as if he vanished. And in an era where visibility is everything, his disappearance became loud. Deafening. Fans panicked. Theories flooded social media. Where is Jungkook? Is he okay? Is he resting? Or is something much bigger happening? Behind every silence, there's a sound waiting to be born. Traces in the shadows. When a public figure disappears, the world doesn't wait. It searches. It investigates. It speculates. And soon, little signs began to surface. A fan in Seoul claims they saw Jungkook walking alone, masked and hoodie covered, entering a small art studio. A law clerk anonymously posts that Jungkook visited a private legal firm, not affiliated with any entertainment company. A barista shares a blurry image of someone who might be Jungkook, sitting alone with a sketchbook, lost in thought. At first, these were dismissed as fabrications. But the details kept stacking up. This wasn't a vacation. It wasn't a retreat. It was research. Preparation. Creation. And what struck everyone most was this. He was alone. No stylists. No managers. No entourage. Just Jungkook, tracing his own shadows. And in those quiet places, away from billboards and screaming crowds, he was beginning to build something that no one expected. The shocking decision, I will stand alone. Then came the headline. A respected South Korean journalist breaks the story. Jungkook establishes independent creative studio. The article was simple but explosive. Jungkook had signed legal papers, independently and privately, to launch his own creative platform. Not a music label. Not an agency. But something far more radical, a multidisciplinary art space. A sanctuary for unfiltered creativity. A place where music meets film. Where illustration meets performance. Where fashion and philosophy collide. And here's the catch. He did it without telling anyone. Not HYBE. Not his managers. Not even his BTS brothers, until much later. The world gasped. But for Jungkook, this was peace. For once, he wasn't a product. He wasn't a member of something bigger. He wasn't performing. He was creating, as himself. Why without consultation? In a rare handwritten note, later leaked and translated, Jungkook wrote, "I'm not running away. I'm walking toward something I've never had, freedom. I've always been part of a system. This time, I wanted to build something of my own. Not for attention. Not for rebellion. But to feel real." He didn't hate the system. He loved his members. He was proud of BTS. But after over a decade of being molded, he wanted to ask a simple question. What kind of artist would I be if no one told me what to sing, how to look, or when to speak? This wasn't a tantrum. It wasn't a breakdown. It was a moment of clarity, an awakening. And to reach that place, he needed silence. The world responds, what now? The internet erupted. #trust Jungkook. #our artist JJK. #Jungkook unfiltered. Armies from around the world poured out messages of love, confusion, heartbreak, pride. Some cried, thinking it might mean the end of BTS as they knew it. Some feared he was stepping away forever. Others understood, deeply. They saw this not as separation, but evolution. They remembered that Jungkook had always spoken through action. And this action was the boldest of all. A quiet decision that echoed across continents. HYBE answers. With silence. Many expected HYBE to issue a statement. To clarify. To calm fans. But nothing came. Insiders say there were emergency meetings. Tense calls. Debates behind closed doors. But to the public, silence. And in that silence, one truth became clear. Jungkook's move was beyond their reach. This wasn't part of a contract. This wasn't scheduled. This wasn't approved. He had stepped outside the lines. And in doing so, he'd redrawn the map for every idol watching. If Jungkook could do it, who else might follow? The fear wasn't about losing a star. It was about losing control. A letter to ARMY, I'm still here, but I also want to leave. Finally, Jungkook spoke directly to fans. Not through press. Not through a performance. But through a letter, handwritten, raw, vulnerable. I know this isn't what you expected. I know some of you are hurt. But please understand, this is the only way I know how to grow. I'm not leaving you. I'm just trying to find the part of me I never got to know. I will return. Not as a product, but as a person. And I hope you'll still recognize me when I do. Fans wept. Not because they were abandoned, but because they were trusted. Trusted to wait. To understand. To love him, not as an idol, but as a soul in progress. The quiet steps of a legend. He didn't launch a campaign. He didn't hold a press conference. He didn't beg for headlines. Instead, he chose silence. He chose solitude. He chose soul. And that was the loudest choice of all. In an industry built on perfection, he chose honesty. In a system built on noise, he chose silence. In a world that demands more from its stars, he dared to ask, what if I gave less, but made it real? Jungkook is no longer just the golden Maknae. He is an artist in transition. A legend not for his fame, but for his courage. And perhaps, the greatest legends aren't the ones who shine the brightest, but the ones who dare to walk away from the light, to find who they are in the dark. And from that darkness, a new light will rise. The light of an artist reborn.